Hi everyone and welcome. So I am doing my September wrap up. I still owe you August. I filmed it, I just haven't uploaded it. By the time actually they'll probably be uploaded after this one to tell you the truth. Um but yeah, so right now I have some time off of work involuntarily. So I have plenty of time to work on some content. So that's what I am going to be doing until we are allowed to go back to work. So for the month of September, I read 5 books. This is actually the most number of books I've read in a month. Um, when I first started back on this reading journey, I was doing like 2 a month, then I made it to 3. Then for the last 2 months, I did 4. So for the month of September, I was able to get in 5 books. So I'm super, super excited about that. And I'm sorry, it's driving me crazy looking at the camera in my glasses. It's like it just drives me insane. But I want to go over the books that I've read. I'm also going to be filming a video on this cart. We're going to have to figure out this because this is my little reading area in my bedroom. And I have a lot of books right here. Please don't think they're all just on this shelf because they're not. They have spilled over to the floor. So I'm trying to control not buying any more books until I start reading through the books that I have, starting with the cart. When I do this video, this is not going to be like a fall TBR, even though there are fall books on here. This is going to be the books that I want to read throughout the rest of the year. That's what I'm going to label it as. Okay, so, but let's go ahead and do the books that I read in the month of September. So I read 1 fantasy, 2 romances, and 2 mystery thrillers. So for the first book, I read The Justice of the Kings. This was my fantasy by Richard Swan. I rated this book a 4-star. I thought it was really good. I'm newer to fantasy, so it was kind of hard to get, not necessarily to get into, but to like understand what the world is going on. But I think like once I got like halfway through the book, things started to click. So this is in the voice of Helena, who is the assistant to the justice, Sir Von Vaught. Am I pronouncing his name right? Mm-mm-mm-mm. Yeah, Von Vaught. And so there has been some unrest in the town that they are in. There are people who disagree with like the justices and the decisions that they make. We opened up with them visiting a town because of some witchcraft that was going on, and which is against the rules in underneath um the new emperor's rule. So the justices are going around following up on these mysteries and these crimes, and they are the ones who investigate the crimes. They are going to prosecute the crimes, and they do the judgment. They do it all in one person. So, and the one thing I did love about this is that it stated like no man is above the law. But while there's starting to be like this unrest, you have Helena, who is the assistant to the justice, and she doesn't even agree with all of his decision making. So it just seems like there was something that was going on where, like, I think she was like pretty much on board, but then it just gets to a point where it's like, hold on, is this getting out of control? The people started to revolt against them and things like that. So it was good. It was good. It's a little bit harder to explain. I did listen to this on audio along with reading it. Um because I find that I'm an immersive reader and listening to the books also helps me. But I also like the satisfaction of being able to come in and make my little highlights or anything that I want to do. Um, and stuff. And so in this book, before I forget, the magic system in this book is how the justices are able to use their voice. And with their voice, they could command that the person speaks the truth. Um, but there are some people who are immune to that. So, um, and so those are like the dangerous ones, the ones that are immune um to his voice. And so, like it says here, like on page 7, an empress voice, an arcane power of a justice to compel a person to speak the truth. And so, and when they do that, it takes a lot of, um, not a lot of power, but it does take a lot of strength out of the justice when they have to use that power. But also, it invokes fear into the people that they use it on, but it also can invoke anger because you use the voice on them once it's all over. So yeah, it's pretty good. So I do have all 3 books. So I'm definitely going to keep up with the series. So and this is the Empire of the Wolf series. So and before I forget, I know I'm trying to get better at these reviews, trying to make them make sense. But Helena, so this is told, like I said, told from the voice of Helena, but it's like Helena is thinking back on her time with Von Vogt. That part was a little bit um difficult to determine. So like sometimes there was certain words that she would say, like, well, thinking back on it, like when she says stuff like that, it's like, okay, she's remembering what happened. But other times it's kind of like in that present time of when she's going through it with Von Volt. Um so it makes it a little bit difficult because it's like it's not set up in a sense where like somebody's interviewing her. I think she's like writing down her memories. I'm not sure. Like that's where I get a little bit confused on, okay, where are we? Like are you talking to somebody, telling them about your time with Von Vault? Are you writing this down and making like a memoir or something? So that's where I kind of like had a lot of issues with the book. But other than that, the story itself is good. So I did really enjoy it. So the next book, which was super, super cute, is the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I know y'all been seeing this a lot on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, and stuff. But it really is, it's a really cute book. It's like Hallmark. Like normally I like to label them as Hallmark After Dark, but it's spicy, but the spice doesn't come until like towards the end of the book. But it's not as low down dirty as some of the other books that I've read. Um so yeah, okay, yeah, we'll call it Hallmark After Dark. We'll call it Hallmark After Dark. And this one follows um okay, it's been a couple of weeks. What's her name? Jenny, who has moved to Dream Harbor from Boston. She's trying to get away from Boston. Her previous boss had passed away, and her aunt left her pumpkin spice cafe. So she's trying to figure out how to run this cafe, plus trying to start over in life. Um, so when we open up the book, she hears a noise. So she thinks like somebody's trying to rob her. She's trying to figure out what is going on because she lives above the cafe, in the apartment above the cafe. Um, then she meets Logan, who is the local farmer. Logan has his own trust issues because he fell in love with a girl. I think it's been like maybe like a year or two, and he proposed to her, and she was like a city girl, just like Jenny, and he was hoping that she would stay, and she broke his heart. So he has like a lot of trust issues, um, and stuff. So it's like it's a grumpy sunshine, but it gives you all the fall feels because they have like the fall festival. They talk a lot about like their was it apple cider? It might have been like apple cider and stuff like that. Um, he has animals that he named after pop stars, which was totally cute. But yeah, this is a really good feel good book. Like if you just want something faulty, if you just want a palate cleanser, if you just want something that it's just it's not heavy, it's funny. Now there are a couple of times where you sitting there like, look now, I need y'all two to get y'all sugar honey iced tea together. But it's still it's really cute. It made me feel good. Like after I read it, I felt really good. I felt whole. I was like, oh my God, this is so cute. So I always encourage people to read books. Even if I don't like a book, I still encourage people to read it because you may like it. But I think I did rate this one a 5 star. Yeah, because it had 3 5 stars and 2 4 stars. So I did rate this a 5 star book. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Okay. Okay. So the next book, oh, I want to gush over. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna leave the next romance for last because I want to gush over this book. So the next book I read was for my listen no, not listen, license to thrill book club that is ran by Danny. She's labeled as Danny on here on YouTube. Danny reads on Fable, on TikTok, and stuff like that. So she has a book club where we read thrillers every month. This month we are reading, it's on the other side of my bed, um, the Southern Book Club Guide to Slaying Vampires. So I'm really enjoying that one. But the book that we read for the month of September was The Ghostwriter. And I thought this was really good. But hold on, first of all, look at these sprayed edges. This is absolutely amazing. I love those spread edges. And speaking of Danny, I just see her in the Discord group. But I thought this was really good. So this is following okay, hold on, because I read this at the beginning of the month. What's her name? Olivia Dumont. Olivia, she is ghostwriting the book for her father. Back in the 70s, her father was involved in the murder of his brother and sister. Um, and he likes to play little games like leaving clues, like little clues for you to find and follow, like little riddles and things like that. Um, so he was trying to work with his daughter because he's sick, um, and he wants to get the truth out before he passes away. And so she writes the book. So she goes on her own investigation, just because it seemed like there were things like her father was willing to say, but things that he wasn't really willing to say. Um, that she kind of had to put those clues together. So where it kind of got a little confusing was, okay, did he purposely not want to reveal certain information, or did he just want her to figure it out? Um, and I'm leaning towards he just really wanted her to figure it out. And so, did I mention? Sorry, this is by Julie Clark. Sorry, but and she actually changed her name because she was from that town, and because of the last name, everybody knows about the Taylor family in their town. And so she got married, changed her name so that way she could have this new life and nobody questioned her about what happened back in the 70s. And so, because it was back in 1975, and the father's name is Vincent. So she does crack it. This one, what? Oh man, I'm filming on my phone. I'm trying to think. What did I rate this one? Was this the 5-star read or the 4-star read? I want to say I rated this one a 4-star, and that was because the ending was clear and vague at the same time. So you could come to a certain conclusion because you're told. So the story is told through her, so it jumps into present day where you have Olivia, but then it goes back to Vincent, and then you have certain chapters that goes back to her Aunt Poppy, and Aunt Poppy was the one who passed away. And so, because she did find like Aunt Poppy's old diary and things like that. So where it got a little bit confusing is who actually, not necessarily, I understand who killed the brother, but who killed Poppy? That's where it's a little bit confusing. That one is not really clear to me. So that's why I rated it a 4, because the story itself was amazing. But I was satisfied in how it ended and who they said did it. But there's still a question in my head. So that was like the only thing. So that's why I rated it a 4. And then I did have like this one thing where I did only highlighted. I'm just now getting into annotating. So, and I'm trying to like thoroughly understand. But so there was one interview that she did with a former teacher of theirs, of the kids back in the 70s. So one thing that he said that was interesting to me was he said teenagers are all the same. What they really want to be what they really want is to be heard, to be understood. And that really stuck out to me because it reminded me of my daughter, because we were having this one argument, and it was around the time when I was reading this book, so it was earlier this month. And she kept saying, nobody hears me, nobody understands me. So that stuck out to me. So I wanted to highlight that. But yeah, this was a 4-star read. It's still a solid book. I still encourage you to read it. So yeah. So the other thriller that I read, and this was the last book I read for the month of September, was Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. Now this is podcast style. So it starts off with the story from Lucy. So you're getting Lucy's point of view on things, but then it goes into podcast style. And so back in, does it tell what year? No, because it had been 5 years since her friend had died, and was killed, and everybody blames Lucy for the murder. But the problem is Lucy doesn't remember what happened, and they never arrested her because there was not enough evidence. So then comes along this podcaster, Ben, who's working on his show, Listen for the Lie, and he starts investigating, holding interviews to figure out what happened to Savvy. And her name is Savannah, but they always called her Savvy. That was the other girl that was killed. So I'm going to tell you now, this book, I ate this book up. This was the quickest read that I did. I did this book in 3 days. In 3 days. That was the quickest I've ever read a book. I ate this book up. Now, I want to tell you now, get the audiobook with it, because the audiobook really goes in podcast style. So, hold on. Let me just, okay. So like on here, so this is the podcast script that you're reading. But when you do it with the audiobook, like you get the musical effects of when a podcast is coming on, you get like, and it's held like a real conversation. So there's multiple voices going on at the same time. So it's not just one person reading it. So it's very interactive. I loved this book. This was really, really good. I really recommend everybody to read Listening for the Lie. Okay. So the last book that I read in the month of September, and this is the one I want to gush about because this really, really surprised me, is Cash by Jessica Peterson. I am becoming a romance girl. Like, I like romance books, but I've never been like totally big on it. I mostly read mystery thrillers. Those are the ones that I absolutely love. But over the last year, I would say I've increasingly started to read more and more romances, and the same thing goes with fantasy. Cause like over here is fantasy stuff. So I never would have thought to pick up a cowboy romance, right? Even though it's like small town, right? I don't have a problem with small town. The one thing that I like about the Pumpkin Spice Cafe was it was small town, but it was East Coast small town, right? I'm from the East Coast. I live in Virginia, you know. I lived in New York, so, and I lived in the city at that. I've always lived in the city, so I can appreciate a small town. Like there are times where I want to move to a small town. The only thing that keeps me from moving from small towns is where is the nearest hospital? Because if I have to go real far to a hospital, no, we're not doing that. So, like the hospital up here, I got two within a 20-minute. Well, actually, the one of them is 5 minutes up the street, and the other one is like 20 minutes in traffic. So, I got options. So, that's the only thing that I don't like about small town. Like, I wouldn't mind having like a fall home, a house on a lake that we use to visit and stuff like that. Or if I just wanted to go get away, I wouldn't mind that. But to live there, I don't know. But the older I'm getting, the more and more small town seems like, oh, I'd rather go to a small town because I'm tired of hearing the gunshots out here. Yeah. And yeah, you heard me right. And I didn't mean to use that word, just thinking about that because you can't say that on YouTube. But oh well, it is what it is now. I said it, and I'm not editing. So, but Cash. This takes place in a town outside of Texas, outside of Dallas. It's like 3 hours outside of Dallas, Hartsville, Texas. This follows Molly Luck and Cash Rivers. This is a grumpy sunshine. Molly, her father had passed away. That's not a spoiler or anything. So she inherits his ranch. But there was a stipulation on it that she had to live at the ranch for a year. She does spend her time trying to figure out how to get out of that. But in the meantime, they did say, because before she could get her money, because all right, so let me go back. She was left the ranch, but she was also left a sum of money. In order to get the money, she had to live on the ranch for a year. But they had stipulated that for each month that she's on the ranch, she's going to get an allotment of money to live from for the month. So she goes ahead and she starts the process because she realizes she needs the money, right? And so Cash is very hostile to her, which is I could understand from his point of view, because for 12 years he worked on a ranch. He thought he was going to get it in the will. Um, because from his perspective, um, they did, Molly and her father didn't have the greatest relationship, because he was like, look, I've never seen her up here. So you get the ranch, and why? Right? And but I think his fear comes from the simple fact of, it's the unknown of what is going to happen to me, what is going to happen to my family, because he also lives there with his four other brothers, and there's a host of people who work on the ranch. And like, so he's not only thinking about himself and his family, he's like, what is going to happen to these people who live on this ranch, who work for the ranch? Like, what's going to happen? Because this is their livelihood. And you have a person who doesn't know anything about running a ranch. So and as we all know, with romances, with Grumpy Sunshine, they eventually fall in love. But the way he loved on her made my heart smile. It just, it made my heart smile. The way he still encouraged her dreams, um, and stuff, and she recognized his dreams, and she wanted to make his stuff come true too. I mean, it really did make me smile. It made me blush. It made me want to go to Texas and find me a cowboy. Um, Now, in the current state of things, I don't know if I can say in Texas, but it still made me want to go. I even wrote in here, I don't remember what chapter it was, but I remember writing in here, um, don't F it up. I did, because I was just like, because with some romance books, they give you that third act breakup and stuff like that, or that third act misunderstanding. So as I was reading, it was just one part. It was just so perfect that I was like, don't mess this up. Um, but yeah, I mean, I truly, truly loved it. And each brother, so Cash has four brothers. Each brother is going to get a book. Um, I do have Wyatt, so that's book number 2. Book 3, which is Duke, that's going to come out in November. And then, no, I'm sorry, Sawyer. Sawyer comes out in November. The only thing I was confused about, because it felt like some of these books were already out, so it makes me wonder, was these indie, then it got traditionally published? I don't know. But Sawyer is book 3, that's going to come out in November. Duke's book come out in December, and then Ryder is, from what I saw, there isn't a date yet, so it will be sometime in 2026 when Ryder's book come out. So I can't wait. I can't wait. Like, I wanted to jump into this one, but it was like, oh, I like to rotate my books so that way I don't get bored and stuff. So yeah, but I'm a fan now. And and with some other books, like, there's other books that I want to read from other people, but I the cover turned me off, so I said no. Um, I'm really into like what the covers look like. I don't like covers with real people. Like, this is cartoon, this is a drawing, but like real photographs of people, no, I don't like it. Don't ask me why. I just think it's weird. Um, but yeah, I mean, I really, really, really enjoyed it. I mean, this was just so good. Like, you will really, really love this, especially if you're into romance. And let me tell you, this is spicy. This is not even Hallmark After Dark. This is, remember HBO After Dark. This is HBO After Dark. This is Cinemax After Dark. This is, you know what? You might as well, well, I don't know if cable channels, I don't have cable anymore. You know, when you used to be able to rent those dirty cable channels and stuff like that, when you was able to like to um subscribe to those channels. That's like, you might as well just do that. But baby, mm, I want to get me a cowboy hat and do what Molly did to Cash. I ain't gonna lie right there. I want to get me a cowboy hat and do what Molly did to Cash. So, yes. But this is, I mean, it was really good. It was really good. I really, really enjoyed this book. So I do recommend reading Cash. This was good. This is spicy. And what I like about it is like it just wasn't smut. It's just like I said, the way he loved on her. It was just like, oh my God. Yes. I'm about to have an experience here. Because I mean that's a book that I will honestly reread. I would love to see that as a movie. And stuff, or a TV show. Like once they're done with all the books, if they wanted to create like a multi-season show, so maybe that they can intertwine some of this. I don't know, but I definitely would like to see it as a movie or as a show. I don't know how they're gonna fit in that spice. I don't know how they're gonna fit in that spice, but it would still be a good show. It would definitely still be a good show or a good movie. So, but yeah, these are the books that I read for the month of September. So yeah, it was a really good reading month. So I'm hoping to have just as an amazing reading month for October. I have a pre-order coming in and in the next week and a half, which is Megan Quinn's Merry Christmas, You Fit the Animal. I am super excited about that because I read her How My Neighbor Stole Christmas. That was my very, very first Megan Quinn book, even though I since then bought her backlist, most of her backlist, some of her backlist. And so because I am really enjoying Megan Quinn. So I cannot wait to read that book. I don't know if I'm going to get to it this month or I may just wait to start doing Christmas stuff next month. It just depends on how I feel. I'm a mood reader. It just depends on how I'm feeling. So yeah. So that is it. That was my September reads. So I will see you again soon. Alrighty guys. Bye bye.